Hello. So, yes, today I'm in Columbus. I figured I'd shoot some videos here today. Why not? I figured I'd do two. One of them's gonna be a repeat. But the first one is kind of nice. I mean, it's nice for me. It's gonna be a bit shorter. So, remember how I was saying that the media is basically just a propaganda machine at this rate, right? I don't think I said that verbatim, but I have, no one has actually gotten the proof of it yet, but I will say now someone has. First of all, this is a very trustable media source. If you are, this is like one of the few trusted journalist sources around, very few. They are considered right-wing only because the left is so far left and these media companies are pushing extremist ideas. So to start out with, I am referring to Project Veritas. They have uncovered, they posted 2 videos, but it was like a 2-parter, I think. Anyways, they posted 2 videos literally showing that CNN not only won, their entire purpose was to get Trump out of office, and they just made a whole bunch of money doing it. Like, they're basically being paid off to get Trump out of office. So, one, yes, CNN was propaganda for the whole past 5 years, bare minimum. And 2, CNN was also, they were also, how do I put this to be fair? They were relying on COVID-19 infections and deaths to increase their ratings, and they were basically profiting off of other people dying. Now that is pretty sad. If you want to call them a morgue, sure, but they're not a morgue. Like, that is the only fair, honest way to make a profit, because that's a service that people need. What CNN was doing was extremely corrupt. So this is just a short video saying, first of all, Orwell was right, 100% right. I'm looking out. I'm at a park, so in case you're wondering, I'm at a park, public park. I figured I'd do it at a public park, so that way no one can know where I live exactly. They just know I'm in Columbus if they see around by any chance. Yes, I am in Columbus today, so yay, sort of. Anyways, CNN is a propaganda machine. George Orwell was right. I know that's just his writer name. When I publish, I'm probably going to use a writer's name. And no, I literally have a public face. Unless this YouTube channel chooses to never grow, like even if I publish it under my own name, I'll probably just publish it under my own name. If I choose not to publish it under my own name, it's because this YouTube channel is not growing. And that's fair. Not everyone can succeed in YouTube. Let's see. What else is there to talk about? That's it for the most part. There's some other stuff to talk about within that. First of all, it's kind of sad. Like, realistically, it's completely unhealthy what CNN is doing. Like, very few people on this planet can take joy in people dying. I don't take joy, but it's not disgusting to me. Now, if it's someone close, someone that I had some loyalty to and had loyalty to me, yeah, that's gonna hurt. But to a lot more people, like, people will feel sad when people die. I don't, but that's just because of childhood trauma, you know? Everyone has issues. Mine is, I feel a significant less amount of pain from, like, a significant less amount of social pain. And yeah, it's not the healthiest, but at the same time, it lets me cope. It's better for me to cope. The plus side to all that is I have the ability a very good ability to, what's the correct word? Compartmentalize. There we go. These people don't just compartmentalize. That's part of it. That helps. They have to build a huge collection of things to be able to do what they're doing. They have to not only build compartmentalizing, but they have to compartmentalize someone dying and the numbers themselves. And that's kind of sad. Like, now on the other hand, they were completely misrepresenting the situation. And they're getting paid a lot to do it. That first points to how Trump was behaving. First of all, Trump was not a good president. I'll say that now. He's just not a good person. The funny thing is, he was so grandiose that he would say the quiet parts loud. He was happy that he sold weapons to Saudi Arabia. He never did that again. Like, he never said that out loud again. But it's funny. I always find a little bit of humor when someone is either stupid enough or bold enough to the point where it's crazy to say that kind of stuff. It's always funny. I love it. On the flip side, yeah, sure, they should have attacked him for his morals, and he shouldn't have been reelected for his morals. Like, Trump just isn't the best person. It's fun. Like, he's a funny character, though, so that's a good side. On the opposite side, they're clearly pushing propaganda. Like, it's clear that CNN is doing it. But then the issue is there's so many news organizations that are also not part of CNN, but like they're associated with CNN. Some of them buy paperwork, some of them not buy paperwork, but you get the point. This is the world we live in. It's disappointing. I know I was supposed to be posting the video I'm doing next for before this, but I don't really care. I said in the next video, ha ha ha, I skipped one. I put something in between just because this came out. I know it's been a few days, but I have this thing where I always wait to get all the information. I'll just elaborate because this is kind of tied to it. You know how I mentioned, I literally just mentioned it. The media is currently a propaganda machine. So, if you've heard anything about the Derek Chauvin trials, and also there was another recent police shooting, I forget the woman's name, but she shot a guy. Currently the media they're not lying verbatim. They're not giving contradictory stories. They are leaving out important details. So, for example, the Derek Chauvin trial, I have a feeling the prosecution is going to try to get a mistrial soon, so they can retry it. And then, of course, there's never going to be a fair trial for the guy, but the jury is trying to right now, and the prosecution is literally trying to throw a mistrial. I hope the judge I hope he does a mistrial acquittal if they try to push for a mistrial, because that is super corrupt. That the government would actually do that. That's why it feels like it's going to happen. But on top of that, currently the way it sits, it looks like Derek Chauvin is going to get acquitted on all charges, because there is no way to prove that. First of all, more video evidence came out. He didn't have his knee on the guy's neck. And even if he did, that isn't what would have... First of all, knee on the back of the neck, that's not where the blood's coming from. It's coming from up here in the throat, up here, closer to the front. You have arteries and veins running down your front. So that's why, if you've ever seen a movie where someone kills someone, if someone gets shot in the neck, if it hits their major vessels, that's where it's going to take them down. So knee on the back of the neck, that's not a huge issue. But that's not even what happened. He put his knee also on a shoulder blade. He was intentionally trying to control the guy without hurting him. Like, I think people have said what kind of fighting style it is that they use that as ground control. That is great ground control. I wouldn't have even looked at a fighting style. I have a degree in biology. I would say that is great ground control. Knee on the back of the neck might be an issue for someone that is severely overweight and has high blood pressure. Or knee on the back would be an issue for someone who's overweight and the extra mass is pressing against their abdomen. So those are kind of the issues that you're looking for. He did none of that. In fact, I specifically remember one of the prosecution's own witnesses said that Derek Chauvin had the right to immediately come out of his car and immediately tase Derek Floyd. So, just Floyd. I forget whatever his first name is. Whatever. But the idea that the media is putting out is that he's going to be found guilty, when clearly there is a lot more to the story, and if people aren't going out and actually looking and listening, which a lot of people just don't have time, but besides that, they should make the time for this kind of stuff nowadays, because the media is lying. And before you could rely on the media to be truthful, honest, or trying to get the news out. They tried to expose stuff. Now they're trying to hide stuff. They are propaganda for the state. So they are trying to push a narrative to make cops look bad. So that way, this is where you're going to just have to understand this. The point is to set the police as an other category. So that way, when there is an internal war, it will be three ways, where first, the people will be pushing back against the cops. We will not trust our own officers. We will not trust the state, which we shouldn't to begin with. But they're trying to reform the police to make them militarized. That's what's going to happen. They are eventually going to say, you know what, cutting back funding didn't work, so we're going to amp up funding and give them all military-grade weapons. Right now they have military-grade body armor, and they don't have the same amount of ammunition and weapons, but they do have some military-grade weapons. On the flip side, they need those because the criminals get their hands on that stuff. Even though it's not sold to the general public normally, criminals will find a way to get their hands on whatever. Personally, I think there are some things that should be sold to American citizens and some things that shouldn't be, but we still have our Second Amendment right to bear arms. That shall not be infringed. So literally all gun laws are technically unconstitutional. And now I do think it's fair that the state should have contracts to buy weapons from their dealers that are exclusive, that have exclusivity clauses, so that way the public do not get their hands on certain weapons. Like, for example, you don't want the public to get their hands on nuclear weapons. Clearly, there should be a little bit of discretion. But currently they are trying to make our police look bad because they're trying to drive the narrative, and they're trying to drive the far left narrative. So that's all coming together. You'll see it if you look at normal media. Oh, what on earth is this? People are doing donuts. I should not be laughing, but people came out to this parking lot and decided to do donuts while I'm sitting here. Whatever. That was cool. I should have recorded that. The police aren't going to catch them. The police won't even ever find out. Oh, that's the one. Here's my thing. In regards to police, I think we need them to have a functioning society because there are criminals. On the flip side, we should have minimal laws so that way they only affect the criminals as much as they can. We shouldn't have such oppressive amounts of laws that the majority of people in your country are considered felons every day. They're considered felons. They are considered to be you know what I mean. We have overbearing amounts of laws. I think you can say I'm sort of anarchist, but not really. I think we need to have better trained police. That's what we should take from the media right now. We should be sinking money into training our police better, including giving them better incentives to seek psychological help after shootings and stuff like that. So we don't have cops that are on edge, for 3, 4, 5, 10 years from a shooting that they had to do. Yeah. Now, thankfully, I live in Indiana, where we have absurd amounts of laws, but our police have a system. Here's the nice thing. In Indiana, our police have a lot of mercy that they express. They are, for the most part, they're after drugs in Indiana. Let's just be clear. Interstate 65 has the most drugs run through it as compared to anywhere else, like in the surrounding states. Yes, it'll be transported out to California and to New York and places that have huge drug issues, but it comes through Indiana first, just because it has to get north somehow, and it's a clear shot straight up to take 65. Columbus has a massive drug issue. The park I am in, there's probably drug deals that go on here. That's pretty fair, honest. Just because of where it's located. Probably a whole lot less, because it looks like a lot of the apartments around here have been gentrified, so there's a lot less of an issue probably right around here. I'm almost certain in Donner and in Millrace, most definitely Millrace, that there's drugs. Anyways, the idea right now is that Indiana knows there's a drug problem, so they are telling their officers to, whenever officers pull you over, you know that they are pulling you over for the opportunity to inspect your car and inspect you. They won't do some of the crazy corrupt stuff, like ask your name of you before you give them license and registration. They will ask that first. Like, they'll ask for license and registration, and they will give you a legitimate reason for why they're pulling you over. You won't see the corrupt stuff like you would out in, I don't know, in some other cities that don't have as many drug issues. So in case you don't understand, it is against the Supreme Court of the United States said it is wrong to pull someone over and suspect that is the person driving their own car, simply because it could be someone else driving their own car, right? So let's say I get pulled over and they ask if I'm Aaron Klein. I ask, what am I being pulled over for? They have to respond to that first. I do not have to give them my name. If I say, I'm sorry, you have not told me what I have been detained for, you have no right to hold me, may I please leave? They have to say yes. If they don't, they are breaking your constitutional rights. Actually, this time it's a Supreme Court given right, but you get the idea. They're breaking due process rights because it is wrong to assume that me as Aaron client am driving my own car. I could be letting my brother James, which we actually look similar, so there's reason. But anyways, you get the idea. The police don't do that around here. They pull you over for legitimate reasons, like if you have a light above your license plate out, that's a reason. Like, that is actually a reason. Tail light out, your tags have expired, stuff like that. They will do their best to pull you over for legitimate reasons, and then stop you to identify what could you, like, and once they have a legitimate reason, then they'll ask for identification. That's usually what goes on here. If you're going 70 and a 55 in a lot of places, they'll let you off with a warning. if it's like if it's a slow day and they're actually looking to do something, yeah, sure, they'll probably give you a ticket. I don't think they'll give you reckless driving until you're going like 20 over. But for the most part, 15 over is just a massive ticket. If they even bother. Usually they're just looking to inspect, like if they smell weed, or if they have a legitimate reason to suspect that you might have, like if you have previous drug charges or previous gun charges, they will find a way to search your vehicle. They'll do their best to find a legitimate reason. Now, on the flip side, I have heard from many people that in Indiana, if they have reason to suspect that you might have that stuff in your vehicle to begin with, that they will, they've been known to drop stuff in your vehicle, drop evidence. And what I mean by that is literally, I've heard stories of them literally dropping weed and heroin in people's cars. And they say, "Oh, is that heroin?" And like, "Oh, do I see something there?" I said, "You dropped something." Then they'll be like, "Step out of your car." I'll be like, "You dropped something in my car, you're violating my rights." Like you can go on and get an actual lawyer and fight stuff, and you can file complaints against cops for doing that kind of stuff, for planting evidence. They will, I know for a fact that they have done that in Indiana. They get away with it a lot because people don't know when to say lawyer. This is where I'm going to go and get into, I shouldn't have had this talk, but like this wasn't the point of the video, but I'll go ahead and get into it. This is legal advice coming from every lawyer you'll ever meet. If you are ever arrested, say nothing. Say you want a lawyer. That is the only thing you should ever say. And a lawyer will be, like, you will have permission to have your lawyer in the room if they ever want to talk to you. If they ever ask you to come down to a police station, ask if you're under arrest. If not, say then, "No, please have a good day." Be polite, be curt. Don't ever go down to a police station ever thinking that you can talk your way out of being arrested, or say that you're trying to help or whatever. Their only purpose is to find you guilty, or find evidence to arrest you and have you prosecuted of crimes. So legally, anything that you say that could be, what's the right word? That could exonerate you of a crime is hearsay if you don't have a lawyer with you. Because then that's 3 people, 2 witnesses, not just you versus cops. Oh my word, that car needs work done on it. That's awful. Sorry. I'll repeat that in case you didn't hear it. Oh, that car. Sorry. If you are ever asked to talk to the cops, the only thing that you having a conversation with them, even if you think you're giving them evidence to exonerate you, the only thing, now of course if you have an alibi, and like that's good to give on the scene, but you also probably want a lawyer when you give an alibi. Like that's just how it is. The only thing you can say between you and a cop is lawyer. Then once you have a lawyer present, then you talk with your lawyer, see what you want to talk to the cops about. Anything that you say between you and a cop that might exonerate you, it's hearsay. However, anything that incriminates you can be used against you in the court of law. Now, of course, they have to read you your Miranda rights, but they will always do that when they get you into an interview room. Oh, speak of the devil. You know what? Why not? Beautiful. They came down from that way. I didn't even know there were 2 down that way. They must have been running security for some sort of event over there, and they got called to an emergency. Yeah, that's the start of it. Now, I am not a lawyer, so I can't give you any more advice legally. Like that, what I just told you was what every other lawyer would say. What every lawyer would say. Beyond that, yeah, that's the first thing. Second thing, make sure you get counsel. immediately. I don't even care if you need to get like counsel provided for you by the state so you can afford your own lawyer who will be better for you. I bet there are some pretty good state counselors out there, like state appointed defense lawyers. I bet there are some pretty good ones. However, I would also suggest you investigate and find out what's your best option. Yeah, that's it for the most part. Also, make sure you go over fees and stuff like that. Like when you get a lawyer, make sure you understand their billing and their fees, so that way you don't have needless calls. So that way, like I'm trying to say, do your best to save yourself money. Find out what all they charge for, how they charge for it. You might even ask for an itemized list of what they charge for each thing. It could be like 40 cents a page for whenever they have to print something. You might even negotiate. I don't think you can, but you might try to negotiate with your lawyer to see what all you can have priced differently. Sorry. Let's see. Yeah, that's it for the most part. Oh, I'll do the other part of this. My response to COVID, just in general. This is for more for me just to say it out loud. First of all, the numbers have been blown way out of proportion. I know that sounds crazy, but the infection rate, it's not insanely high. It's roughly like the flu. The kill rate, I believe, is lower than the flu in normally healthy people, and it's probably above the kill rate of the flu. And people who are vitamin deficient, obese, have high blood pressure, already have issues with lungs, which means they're probably also smoking. List goes on. Personally, the elderly should be willing to be the test subjects for this, and like clearly they're sort of forced to, but not really. Personally, we should not have any sort of government or business mandate about vaccines. It violates our medical, like, just in general, it violates your ability to, how do I put this? I forget the exact word, but one of the outcomes of Roe v. Wade is no one's allowed to ask for your medical information without your consent. So, like, that's one of the plus sides about Roe v. Wade. My mind's sort of changed from Roe v. Wade, but we'll get to that at a later date. Like, since I was younger. Like, literally the past year or two. Now, like, that's really what it boils down to. No business should ever force you to release your medical information to say you have gotten these vaccines in order for you to shop here. Like, that should be taken to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court should say this is a violation of Roe v. Wade for these reasons. Now, it's a different thing if you're going out of the country. If they say you have to have you have to be kept up on your COVID vaccines in order to travel to our nation, that's a different story. Different laws, and it's being made available to you. So that's fair. On the flip side, it should not be an issue where you can't even cross state lines if you don't have your COVID vaccine. That is completely illegal. Furthermore, it should not be any legal ramifications if you cross state lines with COVID. This is where I get sort of off the walls. I think in a libertarian society, you should feel compelled within yourself to quarantine if you have COVID. Or if you've been exposed, you should go get tested and then quarantine. You know what I mean? You should feel compelled on your own. There should not be legal ramifications if you don't, because there should be social ones for you. And this is going to be a big issue in bigger cities, which is also where COVID's going to spread really fast, because big cities, everyone's atomized. Yes, everyone's super compacted, but it also means that there's no real community. community. You know what I mean? There may be national communities, like people from China have their own community, people from Russia, people from, like, you get the idea. There are sections, self-segregated sections of New York that, yes, they sort of have their own community, but not even really. The idea should be that, where did I lose track? Anyways, the places that need the help, need the legal ramifications because there's no social ramifications, should not be telling the rest of the world, well, the rest of the nation really, how to run their country, because everyone has a different situation. And the issue is these bigger cities also have bigger votes in our federal legislative branches. You know what I mean? Senate and the House of Representatives, they have, well, you get the idea of what I mean. They have a lot of pull. So literally they can have, and like the other issue is they also have more votes for presidency. So a liberal city could have more votes than entire states, which is bad for everyone. Like, I'm pretty sure New York has more people than Idaho. Completely. That's just like, for example, and definitely more than West Virginia, if you know what I mean. Like, New York should not be able to influence IU's laws. So this is also another reason against vaccine passports. There should be more of a cultural norm that these people self-isolate till they are healthy. And there should be means for them to get groceries and the likes. And if that means that local businesses have to start, like, local businesses can't usually afford to make bigger investments like that because they're already barely afloat, so they can't hire more people to deliver groceries like that. It's hard. It's a hard situation to handle. So what do we do about it? Let's just say we let the states open. New York at like the big progressive I'll say the big left-leaning cities, to be polite, need to back off, and they need to tell the people, the people need to tell the Congress people that at a federal level they should not be controlling the smaller states. Because, like, clearly, okay, I'll show you. Look, real quickly, I am getting my pants all soiled and whatever, but I'll wash them later. I have a tree, and then, yeah, this is basically it. There's no one around me. It's a nice Saturday. New York, it'd be this way in lockdown situations, you know? I'm in Columbus, which has roughly 45,000. Columbus has roughly population roughly 45,000. Smaller than Marion. But we're sort of, where's the geese? I hear them. They must be too high. Yeah, I'm looking through trees. Anyways, why should New York be trying to tell me, who's, got 0 people around me? People are, like 20 minutes walking. No, 5, but still. It'd take them a while to get to me. Oh, I see some geese over there. It must be echoing off the buildings. Anyways, why should a big city be telling small towns what to do? Why should their senators, why should their representatives to the federal government tell smaller governments what to do? And the issue is they are left-leaning. So I don't, the crazy thing is they're acting authoritarian, which is sort of what the right's supposed to do. It's kind of weird, right? Like, you'd think most of the time right-wing stuff is supposed to be authoritarian. right now it's left-leaning stuff. Whatever. I'm gonna end the video here. Feel free to give me some feedback. I have another video coming right up after this one. I'll be posting both of these on Sunday. It's not really Science Sunday though. Yeah, I think I'll do away with Science Sunday till I have a more rounded selection of what I want to talk about on Sundays. So yeah, thank you for your time. This is Aaron Klein signing off. Peace, guys.